Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your permission, and thank you, members, for your indulgence. Mr. Speaker, on Thursday, September 5th, 2024, the Integrity Commission submitted an investigation report, ruling, and special report to Parliament concerning an investigation into my statutory declarations for the year 2021. The reports have now been tabled, and I have since had a chance to read the concluding paragraphs of the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution, the 5-page summary, and peruse the recommendations and conclusions. While acknowledging that the report together totals just under 200 pages, the parts that I have read appear to give a sufficient sense of the findings. First, I welcome the fact that the report is finally tabled 2 years since this process began. I also take note of the fact that the Commission tabled both the report and the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution at the same time. The last time this was not done. Based on what is said in the summary, queries were triggered because it is alleged that I had omitted bank accounts from my declarations, and one of these accounts was incorrectly reported as a US dollar balance by a financial institution. These matters were cleared as the accounts in question, by my recollection, were dormant, previously reported, and the balance in them were around Jamaican $3,000 and 200 euros. Subsequently, my declarations were once again referred for further scrutiny for accuracy and completeness. Other accounts were identified and alleged to be belonging to me, but undeclared. Some of these accounts were opened by my parents as far back as 1975, and my name later added, probably while I was still a child. Many Jamaicans add their children to their accounts for survivorship reasons and in the event of emergencies. I have never claimed these as my assets, and I am satisfied that the Director of Corruption Prosecution ruled that there was insufficient evidence to support claims that I intentionally omitted bank accounts from my declarations, and that there is greater evidence to support my explanation as opposed to evidence to the contrary. I also note that no other matter in the report was referred to the authorized authority, that is, the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The summary of the report outlined that my personal financial affairs from 2018 to 2023 was examined, including associate private third-party businesses and transactions. Over 3,600 transactions were examined, 28 bank accounts, over 80 witness statements collected. This effort to pursue me and my affairs led to the hiring of an international forensic accounting examiner for 6 months. As far as I am aware, only my 2021 declaration was submitted for investigation. After this most thorough interrogation of my personal affairs, which is not in any way connected to public funds or a benefit resulting from my office, they were unable to conclude regarding illicit enrichment. Nonetheless, they concluded that in one of the 5 years they examined, 2022, there was unexplained growth in my net worth of 1.9 million Jamaican dollars, or less than 1% of my total net assets. I reject this finding based on materiality and significance. And while I have not had a chance to fully review the specifics of their calculations, just a cursory review of their formula, I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculations. And therefore, I challenge this finding on incorrect use of data. I reject the finding that I acquired an asset for which the source of funds is not adequately explained. The Commission, in its own report, pointed out that this whole episode started with an incorrect statement from a bank. It started with an incorrect statement from a bank. A bank gave a balance verification that I had funds in US dollars, which was incorrect. So too was the asset in question, the subject of errors by the financial institution that managed the asset. While I authorized the transaction, from the outset of the acquisition of the asset in 2019, I was unaware that the financial institution had assigned an amount in error to my account from an associated company. A year later, the investment instrument, a bond, was called by the issuer, and the financial institution made another error and pooled my funds with the associated company. As soon as I discovered this pooling, which is acknowledged in the report, I alerted the institution and instructed that the accounts be correctly separated. However, the initial incorrect assignment was not corrected at that time. I only became aware of the discrepancy when the institution alerted me in June of this year, and once it was brought to my attention, the funds incorrectly assigned to my account in 2019 was rectified. I also reject claims in the report that I have hindered the examination of my declarations by not supplying information requested. Let it be known that I have complied with any obligation placed on me within the law. As far as I am aware, the company with which I am directly associated is compliant and up to date with its filings. Mr. Speaker, I have been involved in political life for more than 30 years. Yes, more than 30 years. And I have been elected in this House for 27 years. It always gives me a sense of great pride, but also a sense of humility to consider that, I grew up in a two-bedroom board house at 56 Cumberland Road, just up from the Grassyard Market in Spanish Town. I don't wear my background as a badge or try to exploit it or exploit my humble beginnings for political sympathy. I don't do it. I don't do it because I believe in working for what you have, regardless of where you come from. And Mr. Speaker, I have worked hard. People just see the achievements. They don't know the hours, the nights, the hard work. They don't know. I have worked hard, wisely, and honestly to achieve whatever I have. I never had a gold spoon, and I have never depended on the public purse. Indeed, I gave up my salary. I gave up the salary increase due to prime ministers, in solidarity with all the people who are challenged to make ends meet with their own incomes. I didn't take it and pretend to give it to entities that are in my interest anyway. No. On principle, I didn't take it. I have the privilege, I consider it a privilege, Mr. Speaker, and awesome responsibility of leading this country, and I take it seriously. Regardless of the attempts to distract me and unnecessarily consume my time, I have never lost focus on ensuring a stable, resilient, and growing economy, reducing unemployment, improving our security as a nation, building out our infrastructure, and providing support for the most vulnerable in our society. Furthermore, I've always sought to discharge my duties with respect and dignity, even for those who try to bring me down and do personal harm to my reputation. The weaponization of accusations of corruption is nothing new in politics. However, even the most skeptical onlooker must conclude that the handling of this matter, the time it has taken, the public resources used to pursue it, raise cause for concern on many levels. While I will not pursue the view that this was politicized, I believe it is commonly agreed that the law governing the Integrity Commission is in urgent need of revision. The current context of its operations does weaken its credibility, and we must do everything to ensure that the appropriate laws are in place to prevent the politicization of the Commission and to support the Commission in its work. We must also ensure that the Commission itself is efficient and pays due regard to the use of public funds and the time and resources required of public officials to comply. To this end, the law must ensure that the work of the Commission focuses on relevant, significant, and material issues. Mr. Speaker, I will take legal advice on this report and its recommendations, including recommendations for referral to other entities. And Mr. Speaker, I will continue to pray to God for guidance and strength as I continue to lead Jamaica.